Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It's Hump Day. It is Wednesday, November 17th, 2021. I am Salad Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Hello, Frankie. Welcome. You are the first one. Yard Chemist, welcome. Okay, so I am going to get started. I am fine. How are you? Okay, so hopefully this show won't be contentious the way it was yesterday. Even though who knows, I'll probably take it there. Today we're going to talk about what is entitlement. Chemist, all I can say is you're going to have to listen to the show. And I wish you were able to see some of the comments, but you're going to have to listen to yesterday's show. What is it? I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about yesterday's show. What is entitlement? Do people deserve entitlement? Who says one person is better than another? Do people who enjoy entitlement think they deserve it? So, actually, this show will probably piggyback off of yesterday's show. Um, yeah. Um, when you look at entitlement and when you look at what entitlement is, it is the fact of having a right to something, the amount to which a person has a right, or the belief that one is inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment. And there are people who feel that they deserve special treatment. Um, um, you know, I am going to have to go back to yesterday's show because I was talking about 2020, the protests of 2020, whether you want to call it protests, riots, unrest, whatever. And I was talking about January 6th. There was a guest who invoked the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse and what went on with George Floyd. And we had someone who basically said that what happened on January 6th was nothing, that the people who were in the Capitol were basically just walking around, just doing nothing. So when you look at entitlement and the belief that one is inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment, who gets that special treatment? Who decides who is more deserving of something than others? When you look at this country as a whole, when you look at how this country was built, I don't even want to say founded, because I don't like to say founded, because to me the founding fathers of this country, and I've said it before, are Native American Indians. Those are the founders of this country, my opinion. But when you look at if you want to take the textbook term of how this country was founded, you had a group of people who placed themselves above everyone else, while 1/3 of the country was in chains. And then you had another portion of the country who was systematically being run off their land. And then you have another part of the country called California that used to be Mexico. And, those people were being pushed off of their land. So you have a group of people who basically made themselves entitled. So when you look at entitlement, again, I say, who says that one person is better than another? And Kimma says, I think people who are entitled have a mental disorder. And, I think you're absolutely right. um I don't know, and I need to stop saying that. I keep saying I don't know when I do know. um this country, and I've said it before, is rooted in the its DNA is rooted in racism, and that racism has allowed people, or if you want to flip it around, entitlement has allowed racism to prosper. Um, do you think people who enjoy entitlement think they deserve it? I mean, I don't think that I'm an entitled person. I don't think I'm better than anyone. I don't think anyone else is better than me. There are people who are smarter than me. There are people who know more than me, and there are people who I'm smarter than and I know more than. That doesn't make me less than or any better than someone else. Because when you cut us open, we're all going to bleed. We're all going to have organs. Nothing's going to be different. The only thing that's different is how we are on the outside. So again, are you entitled because of the color of your skin? Are you entitled because of how much money you have? Are you entitled because of your status in life, your social status? Welcome, GP Man 45. Are you entitled because of who your parents are? So if your parent is, or your parents, own a company and they've been around for 200 years, but yet, my father is a garbage man, does that make you better than me? I don't think so. In fact, I know it doesn't. So, what is entitlement? Okay, Frankie, you said it was throwdown time. What are you talking about? What throwdown time are you talking about? Yeah, yesterday was throwdown time. It was definitely getting there. Um, so you know, why again, and I'm going to throw this out there, and I'm going to, send out my invites. And Frankie, I know you're at work. Um, what is entitlement to you? Um, and do you think people deserve entitlement? GP Man, I know you will probably reject the invite because I know you're also busy, but I'm still going to. I always send them out. So, does anyone want to jump on? Anybody? And Frankie says you need to have weekend shows. Frankie, if I could, I would. And I know you've asked me that before because you want to be able to join in. Um, maybe one day, but I don't see it in the foreseeable future. No problem, GP Man. Like I said, I always extended the invite. Okay, Kimma says, it's narcissistic to think you alone have the right and privilege to treat people a certain way because you were born into a certain class. I agree, but unfortunately, there are people who think that. There are people who feel that, just because they were born, um, uh, as, into a certain group or class, that they do think that. Um, you know, um, the people who are born with silver spoons, you know, are they privileged and entitled just because, again, I say you were born rich, you know? So again, I ask you, I'm giving you the textbook definition of entitlement. I'll read it again because GP Man 45 came on. The belief that no one is inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment. And Kimmy says they need therapy. All right, Kimmy, do you want to come on and take the mic or no? I'm assuming that's a no. Ross Ewing, welcome. So again, entitlement, I also believe, is one reason why this country is going. Oh, it is I crazy lady. Hey, crazy. Welcome, welcome. It is. Solid Blue Sister sounds like you were talking about all my ex girlfriends. I'm helping my daughter with homework, Kimmy says. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, okay. Not a problem. Um, you know, I got put in time. Oh, you got put in time out. You got to be careful. You got to be careful, crazy. You got to be careful. Um, so, I mean, entitlement is, in my opinion, one reason why this country is going into the direction that it is. um Welcome, Crucible Man. We have people who just feel that they're better than other people. You have people who feel that you know um uh you know I am this person and you are that person. So therefore, I am better than you. I mean, I have people that I know who feel that they're better than me. Some of them have actually come out, and I've asked them, and they've actually come out and told me, yes. And they told me why. But I don't know. This country, this sense of entitlement. And when you look back in history, and you see, again, I go back to the belief that one is inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment. When you look back in history, and crazy, you are right, no one is better than any other human. But history doesn't support that. History supports people have made themselves entitled because of the color of their skin, mostly, and secondly, how much money they have. When you have a country where, again, I say, where one third of the population were in chains, you have another group of people who put themselves up to entitlement. Then you have, fast forward, you have, again, people who have more money than others and feel that they're better than someone else. Or just because they have more education, whatever, that they are better than someone else. I don't care if someone does not know how to read or write. That does not make that person better or less than someone else. Having said that, Grievous, welcome. Having said that, no, it doesn't. Just the opposite: rank of birth or money. So I'm going to send out some invites. If you all want to speak, you can. Crazy lady, I'm sending it out to you. And Grievous, welcome. Your first time here. If you would like to join in, you may. So again, the question is, what is entitlement? I know the show will possibly veer off, but that's what my show does. Do people deserve entitlement? Who says one person is better than another? Do people who enjoy entitlement think they deserve it? Let's see. Calculus. You're doing calculus. Oof. I was not good at calculus because everyone has something that they are awesome at. You're right. They are. Everyone does. So, crazy, do you want to come on and talk, or do you just want to chat?
Um, I don't think. See, I personally, no one's better than any other human being. I mean, maybe someone made wiser choices, or was born into money or whatever. But you know, they're just in different positions of their life. I don't think anybody's like, like better, unless they have like some kind of superhuman power that, they're not letting on. you know,
Do you think that some people are born into entitlement just because of their race?
no, I don't think that, we're all humans, you know, and everybody, believe it or not, every person on this planet has, do you mind, has something that they're awesome at that, better than, anybody else that they know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. So, has anyone ever put you and crazy? I'm talking to you. Has anyone ever put you into a position where they made you feel less than? Because maybe because of your gender or your status in life or whatever.
Oh yeah. And sometimes it pisses me off, and other times it's like, I pity that person. It's like, well, you know, you don't know what you're missing, bud. It mostly it makes me mad, you know, because I don't try to make other people feel like that. You know what I mean? And it's just not right. You shouldn't treat other people, because ain't nobody better. Check it out. You still pee, you still take poops.
Right. Right. No, no, no. You're absolutely right. And I want to go back to what Kim has said. Kim has said it's narcissistic to think that you alone have the right and privilege to treat people a certain way because you were born into a certain class. Right. I mean, that's absolutely correct. Before I want to go on, I want to welcome Juju, Patty, uh, Jack, Mark, Jack and Lark, and Bahram. Welcome back, friend. So, welcome everyone. So, we are talking about entitlement. What is entitlement? Do you think people who who enjoy entitlement think they deserve it? um and are some people do some people enjoy entitlement over others? I mean, I think it's obvious that the answer is yes. At least for me it is obvious. For other people it may not be. Grievous says entitlement is such a diverse topic. Here in Africa it exists and it's been accepted somehow. Okay. All right. um it is a very diverse topic, and with my shows, I try to push the envelope because I want to hear what people have to say. Possessions come and go, but your character defines your wealth. I like that, crazy lady. I like that your character defines your wealth. You are right. Um, um, And going back to what Grievous says, here in Africa, it exists and it's been accepted somehow. Well, entitlement has always been accepted in this country. Entitlement, is probably one of some of the, as deeply rooted as, uh, racism and uh, other things that I won't go. Well, I may go into them, but this, entitlement to me is also part of the DNA of America. So some people may disagree with me, but um, that is what I think. And I also think, over in Europe, I think that, because you have the class system, and in India, because you have the class system, that you have entitlement there. Grievous says monarchs are one prime example of entitlement. Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I say just because, you're born into a certain, class or group of people, what makes you better than someone else? So once again, I'll send out some invites. Juju, I'm gonna send one out to you anyway, even though I know you're at the pool. And Bahram, I'll send yours out. Patty, if you all want to join in, that's fine. If not, I totally understand. So, does anyone want to come in and join in the conversation? And Frankie, as always, thank you for the pod beans. So anyone want to join in? And Crazy says, and people can change. People can change. Some people change for the better. Some people don't. You know. Anybody want to join in? Okay, I'm going to keep going. So, what are some different types of entitlement? You know, what are different ways of being in entitled? And Crazy Lady says, just because once they did something wrong doesn't mean they can't change. This is true. This is true. You know, I am not certain if I can join. It's a first one for me, not a problem. If you do choose to join, you have a little phone icon there that you can push, and you will be able to join that way. I'm just about to finish work, not a problem. As you guys know, I always send out invites if you want to join in. So, what are some types of entitlement? Anybody wanna comment on that? I mean, is entitlement having health care? Is that entitlement? GP Man says, my sister is entitled, still expecting my folks to financially help her. Okay. If your parents help you financially, or if you have some other people who are helping you financially, is that entitlement? You know, when people, when you constantly ask people for favors, is that entitlement? You know, either asking them for financial favors or just favors, you know, and you just expect people to give them to you. When you have an expectation of people, when you expect people to automatically do something for you, are you being entitled? And Grievous says, perhaps we should draw a line between rights and entitlement. Okay. What do you mean by drawing a line between what is rights and what is entitlement? Because then I can say, do people feel they have the right to do something? Do people feel they have the right, you know, to act a certain way because they are blah blah blah? So, Grievous, can you go into a little bit more of that? Because you bring up a very interesting point. Crucible Man, do you want to join in? So, okay, Crucible Man, you are on. You have the mic.
I think entitlements, somebody said it's a diverse topic. Obviously, you can go by the dictionary definitions or you can just go by subjective definitions. But, you know, it these days when it's used in a, you know, it's sort of a pejorative, it implies somebody getting something that they don't deserve in one definition. It also can mean you feel like you have superiority over somebody else. And I know the world is full of people who have those attitudes. I don't relate to them. I don't associate with them, at least not willingly or knowingly. I have a very simple motto for my life. I try to live humbly and with gratitude. And entitlements has no place in a life that prioritizes those things. So I know it's out there. I know it exists. I know it can be very pernicious and it can be very cruel. But in my purview, I don't relate to it. I don't get it. I don't approve of it. It's wrong in every instance. And it's one person asserting power over another in another definition. But in a strict narrow definition, it implies somebody is getting something that they don't deserve. But that's just one definition. It has a bunch of different definitions. But for me, people who exercise entitlement are demonstrating serious character flaws, and they're treating their fellow human being unfairly.
Well, there are a lot of people who are who have a lot of character flaws then, because there are a lot of people walking around who feel entitled. Um, does anyone want to comment on what Crucible Man said, or want to make their own comments? GP Man says, not going to lie, when I fly first class, I do expect special treatment and grievances. Monarchs, for example, their rights are entitlements as well. Don't you think? Okay, I'm going to respond to GP Man. GP Man, I am going to agree with you up to a point. When I was traveling last week or 2 weeks ago, I did fly first class, and I did it mainly because I didn't want to deal with any of the crap that goes on in economy right now, with all the fights and the yelling and screaming and stuff. I did not want to deal with that. That's the main reason why I chose to fly first class. But yeah, you do expect that special treatment. And grievous monarchs, for example, their rights are entitlement as well, don't you think? When you say their rights are entitlements, are you saying, because when you say monarchs, are you talking about like royalty and what have you? Say kings and queens, or princes and princesses, whatever, that they automatically have the right of entitlement because of who they are? I disagree. Um, uh, Entitlement is a form of arrogance, is what Crucible Man says. But unfortunately, I think there are a lot of people who walk around and they feel entitled, and and they are arrogant. Crazy Lady says that is an entitlement, that is getting service for what you pay for. Yeah, okay, that is true. She's talking about first class. Okay, you are right about that. Okay. Uh, I'm going back to Grievous. Grievous, are you sure you don't want to come on and take the mic, because I would love for you to go into more detail, and things kind of get lost in translation when you're typing, but it's up to you if you want to take the mic. Um, I just think that just because you're royalty or you're a monarch, that no, you're not entitled to any special treatment. So again, I say, does that make, just because you're the queen, does that make you better than me? Just because you're a king, that makes you better than me? Like Crazy Lady said, we all have to poop. We all pee. you know um if you cut us, we are going to bleed. So you know what makes somebody more entitled just because of their stance in life? um I don't know. Why should I bow before you just because you have a certain title? Why don't you bow before me? Or why don't we bow to each other, or just not bow at all? I mean, some people can say that that's respect. Okay, but do you respect me? So I don't know. Again, it comes down to if you had like a superpower, maybe then. I mean, who Grievous wants to come on. I mean, so who says that one person's better than the other? Grievous, you have the mic. Welcome, my friend.
Welcome. How are you?
I am good. What do you want to say?
Yes. Okay. With my experience, things are a little bit different from my. Okay, I'm from Botswana. I'm not sure if you are familiar with the country.
Okay.
Yeah, it's somewhere in Africa. So from my background, I think. Okay, I heard the other guy here. I'm not sure if it's Ross Ewing, saying maybe we should go into the dictionary and look at the definition about entitlement. Well, just like I've said earlier on, with me, Um, I believe that certain backgrounds define entitlements differently. The way we define entitlement from where I am, my region, and you guys out there will be different because our entitlements mostly here are biased because they are traditionally put forward. But I've seen in other countries, especially in the West, that people have entitlements maybe meritoriously so, or just like someone was asking, why should you be buying before someone because they've got a better rank than you? I've seen such things. But from my background, especially, we deal with the traditional setup of entitlements. Okay, we have the monarchs, royalties, and then we have what we call the chiefs or the headmen. Um, those things, I mean, you can't find people voting for who has to take that or anything along the lines. It's all about, okay, if you have a son, your son should come in, and if your son is not interested, then your other sister should come in. So it's something that uses the bloodline to remain in power. So my question earlier on was, don't you think rights and entitlement in some cases are mixed up? Okay, in some cases they are very clear, because entitlement can mean a lot of things. Say, for example, you are from a rich family. There are things that we all know you are entitled to, and some of them are not even your rights. But in terms of monarchs, what do we say? Are those rights or are those entitlements? That would be my point. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Grievous made some very interesting points, but Grievous, I will ask this. So, okay, I will say, okay, there are some things that you're entitled to. If you're at work and completed a particular task, or you completed, something for an account, whatever, you're entitled to a bonus. You're entitled to maybe a promotion or something. But for the most part, I think entitlement suggests that you're entitled to something because of your status. And that's where I'm saying I think that is wrong. So, but Bahram, can you send that through one more time? I didn't catch that.
I'm here.
And Greek. Oh, okay, there you are. Okay,
Hi.
so there you are. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Yourself?
I am good. I am good. What do you want to say?
Again, it's. I feel like the recurring theme with me is I need examples, because to my knowledge, being entitled to something would mean, like, for the things that spring to my mind is like, we pay taxes, so we are entitled to the services, such as healthcare. Well, I know here in the UK we pay tax and we get our healthcare funded by the government, and things. But I think more in regards to entitled by your status, that would maybe need more investigating, because I know, like, maybe if you're born into a poor family, or something, you've maybe been dealt a bad hand, then I wouldn't put that in regards to entitlement, because it's kind of hard to. Do you know what I'm kind of saying? I think it's more not entitlement, but rights. I think someone did mention it earlier. Sorry, I was at work and I didn't quite catch it, but the rights that we have should be given to everyone, no matter what your skin color is or your sex or anything. So yeah, so I'll pass it over to you guys.
Okay, well, Bahram, I'm going to ask this question from you, but let me just read what Frankie says. Entitlement usually suggests someone is better than others, but Grievous and Bahram make a good point. Okay, so she is agreeing with both you and Grievous. So Bahram, let me ask you, what do you think is the difference between entitlement and rights?
Entitlement. I think entitlement. Well, your rights. I think I'm kind of struggling here.
Okay, before you answer, I'm
Yeah.
going to give you three definitions of what I have that is entitlement.
Yeah.
The fact of having a right to something, or the amount to which a person has a right, or the belief that one is inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment. So you can say that, yes, you pay your gas bill, your electric bill, you have a right to those services. Like I said, if you were, at work and you completed a task, whatever, and you're entitled to that bonus. And then you have people who feel that they're entitled because of who they are, either by their race or how the class that they were born into. That's also in entitlement. So if that helps you out in terms of what is the difference between entitlement and right.
Yeah, I think why I'm struggling is because I've looked into like the human law, common law type of stuff, where basically we are free human beings, and I think that's why I'm struggling, because a lot of this stuff that we're talking about is being entitled to things from the government. So I don't believe we're probably entitled to anything. I think we've got to earn it, or maybe use our skills, or probably the better one would be we pay taxes. I think that's the main one that's springing to my mind, and I'm sorry if I'm being short-sighted on that, but it's like we pay our taxes so that we get the rights and the freedoms to have the services. And I think everyone has the right to these services, but the government would make it so that not everyone has a right, and it's them that are the problem. Again, I'm kind of beating on the government again, but it's not you and I, or you and it's not us as individuals that are the ones making these decisions, or taking away anyone's rights, or making any of these class or race or sex divisions. It's the government. So anyone that believes they have the rights or the entitlement to something that someone else doesn't, then more fool them, in my opinion. I wouldn't say that anyone, we're all equal. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, all right. And you said that very well. Thank you. So does anyone want to take up from where Bahram left off here? Does anyone want to comment? Let's see. Kimma says, to me, people are people, and no one, regardless of social standing, is above or beneath me. I agree. Crazy says, the government needs a good beating. I had someone who liked me and held me in high regard up to the point when they found out I was a felon. Then they treated me like I was beneath them. Okay. I would say to that, I have no problem if people were felons or anything. The only problem I would have is if it was a felon, someone who did something to children, like child molesters or something. Let me have my last word. And Grievous, I will give the mic to you. What do you want to say, my friend?
Okay. I think I picked something from Baram. He was saying they pay so that they can have the rights to whatever they've paid for, the rights and the freedom. Say, for example, you pay for gas, you pay for electricity, so that you can have the right and freedom to use those. But I've got a tricky question, maybe. If after you pay, you have the rights and freedom to use those, but aren't you then entitled? That would be my question. And by the way, thank you for having me today. It's past midnight here in Botswana, so I need to, get some rest because I'm going to work tomorrow. But I'll be listening to
not
it
a
once
problem.
after.
Not a problem.
Okay.
Thank you for coming
Yes.
on. Bye. Okay. And Grievous Crazy says, sleep well. Okay. Crazy, I wanted to respond to you. You say I was dumb and your mind was I was dumb and mine was drugs. People are young and dumb, or old and dumb, sometimes, we turn left when we should have turned right. So, totally understand. Let's see. I am going to circle back around to Crucible Man, and then Crazy, I will give you the mic again if you want it. So, Crucible Man, do you want to comment on anything that Grievous and Bahram said?
Yeah, the question about rights versus entitlement is an interesting one. Not to be too narrow on it, but maybe rights are what's protected in your Constitution or the Bill of Rights or whatever the document is that governs our laws and whatnot. Entitlements are things that we can either believe we deserve, that can actually be bestowed on us, like a title or like a bonus. They come in all kinds of different flavors, but I think rights are something that are kind of guaranteed to us by the government through our Constitution, and entitlements, they can be subjective. They can be things we think we deserve but don't. They can be things that are bestowed on us through a process. They take on all kinds of different forms, but any kind of entitlement that deals with attitude or arrogance or superiority is always destructive, and it's always going to exist, just like hypocrisy and other difficult issues that we have to face. But I don't condone it under any circumstances, and it is a form of asserting power and authority over another human being, and that's just, like I said earlier, under all and any circumstances, just wrong.
Okay, so let me have Crucible Man. I'm directing this to you. Let me have an example of a right.
Well, we have the right to bear arms. We have the right to vote, things that are constitutionally protected. We have Social Security. That's an entitlement. I'm not quite sure. I'm not an expert on the Constitution, but I don't think that's in the Constitution. The government from time to time, passes laws that, bestow certain entitlements on us. I don't know if I'm answering your question or not.
No, you are. You gave me an example of a right. So now, can you give me an example of entitlement?
Well, like I said, if we're talking about things like Social Security, that's an entitlement. If we're talking about a bonus that's due, like you referenced earlier, over an accomplishment, that's an entitlement. Or some of the negative entitlements. I'm a certain color, I make a certain amount of money, therefore I rank above you. That's an entitlement of attitude, I think. So they come in different forms. Some are benign, some are pernicious. So I don't know if I answered your question again, but that's what I got.
Okay. I am going to say hello to Shy Lady, and I'm going to give the mic over to Crazy Lady if you want to say something.
I was sitting here, cleaning now. I'm listening to Crucible, and yeah, I get what I agree to a point, but okay, like ashes, I feel like I am entitled to some of my father's ashes. Okay, he was my father. I don't want all of them. I don't even think I should get all of them, but I feel like I'm entitled to have some of them. Regardless of what his wife thinks. But according to the government, I'm not entitled to that.
Crazy Lady, I am going to jump in on there because I totally agree with you. I went through something with my mother when it came to my father's ashes or cremains, as they call them, and because she was the spouse. In the state of Illinois, the spouse has the right. So we went back and forth with that for quite some time. And now that my mother's gone, that right no longer belongs to her. It now belongs to it passes to the surviving children. But I agree. I think that there are some laws that maybe shouldn't favor a certain group of people or a certain person, whatever. And in that case, in terms of rights, that particular right, I am 100% with you. So I don't know. crazy lady, do you want to say anything else?
Just that, just that, in that circumstance, like enlightenment, like, yeah, I am above her, uh, by years of knowing the man, I mean, but like in entitlement of just because, I was born a Rockefeller, so, um, all the peasants out there, are below me, that kind of thing. That's just being ignorant, and yeah.
It is. It is. It is. I agree with you 100% there. Prince, welcome. Welcome to the show. So, does anyone else want to jump in? Shy Lady, do you have anything that you want to add? And Kimmis, I know you're helping your daughter, but whenever you want to jump in, feel free. Hello, Miss Shy Lady. What do you want to say?
Hey, I agree with a lot of the callers as far as rights and entitlement. I apologize, I didn't get a chance to hear the other half of the show. I was sitting in the car dealership waiting on my car. But anyway, I'm still listening. I'll pipe in every now and then. I'm driving, so I may cut off or get dropped off.
Okay.
So, all
I
right.
always want to pass the mic. All right, girl.
Good.
Okay, so it's interesting what people think in terms of entitlement and in terms of rights. Crucible Man says that he thinks everyone should have the right to vote. Unfortunately, people, everyone does not have the right to vote, and that is increasingly being taken away from certain people in here in the United States. In terms of having that right to vote. Um, can you guys still hear me? Somebody, can you guys still hear me? Okay, I'm sorry. I was fooling around with my mouse and I went off and came back on. So, okay. So, I mean, people should have the right to bear arms. True, but again, it's a subjective right. A right to bear arms to do what? Um, you know, um, People should have the right to basically just live their life. If I pay my bills, keep my lights on, keep my water on. If I do a good job at work, give me my paycheck. Um, you know, um, and then people are entitled. So it is a subjective question, and people can make it fit however they want. But again, I'm always curious to know what people think. And Bahram, I'm going to go to you for a moment, and I apologize when I was fooling around with my mouse. A lot of you guys got bumped off, so I'll probably have to send you guys out invites once more, which I will do. But Bahram, I wanted to ask you in Europe, is it still so much of the class system as it was like 100 years ago, back in the 1800s? Is the class system still?
Sorry, I didn't catch the last part of your question there.
Is the class system in Europe still the same as it was, like it was 100 years ago? That people, you're in this class, I'm in that class, whatever. If you're a maid, you know, you're less than someone who is in society, or whatever you want, or in the ton. I think that's what they called it. Is this still like that now?
No, I mean, I'm not really clued up on that kind of thing, but as far as I can see, it's basically the the upper class and the lower class. There is no middle class, especially after the last couple of years, which it's something that my podcast is all about, conspiracy theories and philosophy and politics. So I've obviously looked into the pandemic and what we've all been facing, and I think that's one of the biggest telltale signs is that the middle class has been obliterated, and it's left basically where everyone in the UK where I live are probably on similar wages. You could be a Starbucks worker, or you could be a tradesman, an electrician, a plumber, and these jobs were seen at there should be a fair difference in the wages, but there's really not anymore. So the class entitlement stuff, I wouldn't say that there is a great deal of it. But even then, this is probably why I was struggling, because being a higher class person, maybe on more money, what entitlement does that give you over someone that's on less money? That's probably why I struggle, because I don't know the examples that you're getting at.
Well, no, I mean, I don't, and I think you just answers your own question. I don't think that there is a difference. Just because I have more money than you or you have more money than me, I shouldn't be entitled to something or automatically have the right to something just because one person has more money than the other. No, I mean, I think and things can change. You could be on the top one day, and then the next day something happens and you can be at the bottom. So I don't think so I think you just answered the question. I don't think anyone has the right or should be entitled to anything just because of who they are, what they have. So yeah.
Can I? There was something that you said, and you'll love this, because this is not usually. I consider myself, a conservative leaning, right leaning politics. And when you mentioned there, I think it was Crucible Man that mentioned about when you asked him to give you a right, and he said the right to bear arms. And I was thinking the same thing that you just said, where that right is subjective, and it's only a right because some men back in the 1700s wrote it on a bit of paper. So this is where I go back to, like, and I know yourself and a few, I think, Shy Lady, you're religious people. I think there would be a case to take this conversation on more of God-given rights, because for me, the only rights that us as human beings deserve and have a right to is, like, maybe even like clean air, fresh water, things like that, rather than the right to bear arms, or the right to, some of these things that have been made up by men, or people wearing suits. I think that would be more of it's probably too long of a subject to go into that kind of thing, but I think a lot of these laws and things that government make up are man-made. And do we have entitlements or rights to these man-made, things? I don't know.
No, and once once again, you made a very good point. Before I keep going, I want to say welcome to Revolutionary Bro. I saw you. I was not ignoring you. I was just listening to what Bahram had to say. In terms of the right to bear arms, you have to look at where that was, because in the United States, for our Constitution, the right to bear arms came because at that time the United States, the colonies were leaving England, and they were fighting with the what do I want to say? They were fighting with the soldiers of King George. So you have a right to bear arms. You have a right to bear arms to protect your property. That's where, when you look at it, that's where the right to bear arms comes from. Do you still have the right to bear arms? Yeah. And like we were talking, about yesterday, do you need a gun to go to Target? So when you say the right to bear arms, it's like yeah, you have the right, but look at the context that it was put in. Kimma says, as a business owner, I understand the allure of acting entitled, but I've also found that treating people as equals, I have a more honest, open, and productive company. You know what, Kimma's 100% agree with you. I agree with you as a business owner myself. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, yeah. Yeah, yes, absolutely. So, does anyone else want to come on and comment to what Bahram said or what I said or anything else? I'm going to have to send the invites back out because, like I said, I kind of screwed things up. So, I'm sending out a couple of invites, and if you guys want to jump on, you can. Let's see. Revolutionary Bro, I'm going to send one out to you. And Crazy, I'll send yours back out. Okay, so Revolutionary Bro, do you want to say something?
Not exactly, but see what my estimation is. The term entitlement, it kind of brings to the mind the word privilege, and a lot of people believe that they have a certain privilege in this world, and if that privilege brings about that entitlement, then that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of people who go around, whether it's America, whether it's Europe, whether it's London, England, Africa, and they act as if they are privileged due to the context of their environment. Because if they're in a certain social class, of course they're going to act more privileged or more entitled than people that they feel are beneath them. That's what racism does. It makes you feel as if you are better than the people that are under you.
You are absolutely right. So I'm going to ask this for you. What do you think is the difference between? And I've asked a couple of people this: the difference between entitlement and a right.
The difference between an entitlement and a right is something that you have irregardless. Privilege is something that you might not be privy to, yet you believe in your mind that you are entitled to that privilege. That's the difference between the privilege and the right. All people are given the rights that are available, but some people believe that they are entitled to more than the rights that exist.
Okay, I mean that is well put, and I'm going to throw this out to you, Bro. Do you think if I were to say, and I said this earlier, I paid my gas bill, I have the right to have gas services. I paid my gas bill, therefore I'm entitled to the gas or electric services. Would you say that that's the same thing?
No, it's not, because if you actually pay your gas bill, you have the right to receive the service. We get what we pay for. It's if you don't pay your gas bill and you believe that you have the right to get it, that's entitlement and that's privilege.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this one back out to you, and everyone else. I'm not ignoring you at all. I'm just interested. I'm interested in how Revolutionary Bro is answering. Okay, so last year, with COVID, you had people when everything shut down, people were losing their jobs. Blah blah blah. Do you think people had the right to live in an apartment or a home and not pay their mortgage? Or do you think they were entitled to live in their apartment or their home and not pay their rent or their mortgage?
Under the circumstances. See, if people just were living under normal circumstances and weren't paying their mortgage or their rent, that would be a problem. But the fact that America itself stopped their ability to survive, I believe that people were entitled to that scrap or to that bone that was handed to them by the government. See, if somebody stopped you from breathing, right, and you can't catch your breath, that's their fault. But if you just hold your breath and don't breathe, that's your fault. Somebody was stopping them from breathing. So of course they owe them a little something as a result of it.
All right, and I'm going to ask one last question, then I'm going to open it up to everyone else because I want to know your thoughts on it. So, bro, what do you think about this? So now we have people who didn't pay their rent, or I'm not even going to say the mortgage, because the mortgage is to the bank, but you have people who did not pay their rent, and you have a lot of ma and pop landlords who are literally now in a position where their buildings, they're losing their buildings that may have been in their family for like decades because people refuse to pay their rent, whatever, and now everybody has to go. What do you think about that? Do you think that the government should be entitled or required to help those ma and pop landlords out?
Oh, most definitely. Do you know when the government gave just the regular people, they gave them the right not to pay their bills because they crippled them, they handicapped them, they shut their businesses down. Evidently, you had to be aware that if A ain't paying rent to B is suffering as well. So if you're going to come back and accommodate A, you have to accommodate B as well.
Okay, all right.
So yes, they should be entitled to pay them back. Yes, they do deserve the right to be compensated.
Okay, and should the people who were not paying I know I said that was going to be the last question, but so should the people who were not paying rent, if the mom and pop landlords are going to be helped out by the government, should the people who are not paying their rent, should they be allowed to stay, or should they have to go and then I get a new tenant?
Well, understand this: if they compensate the landlords, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the landlords were paid the lost wages that the tenant couldn't pay as a result of the COVID pandemic. So of course they should be allowed to stay because if the pandemic had never happened, they would have been evicted had they not been paying their rent.
Okay.
But since that wasn't the case, yes, they should get to stay.
Okay. All right. All right. So, does anyone want to jump in? And Crucible Man says, is there a difference between refusing to pay your rent and unable? So, does anybody want to jump in and add anything to the conversation or the back and forth that Revolutionary Bro and I had? Anybody want to jump in? Anybody? Let's see. Okay, Crazy Lady, you're gonna have to get out of Podbean jail. That's what we call it over at Twitter when we get timeout. we call it Twitter jail. I've been in Twitter jail a couple of times. All right, so does anyone want to jump in and comment on what Revolutionary Bro said?
Um, I agree with him, and yeah, there is a difference between unable to pay and, not being responsible and just blowing, your money, because you have an excuse. You know what I mean?
So does that give you the right because you're unable?
No, because somewhere you're going to have to make it up. You know what I mean? That whole issue, that's an issue all by itself. That's just I would say, this is going to be known as the big reset because what about the landlords that, they still have to pay their mortgages, and stuff for that property. Should they miss out, so it's just like one big, I don't know.
Okay. All right.
But, but on the entitlement thing, it's like in the House of Lords, there's what? 17 people left. They weren't like voted into that part in Parliament. It was just inherited down because, like son to son has been most of the lines. There's like a couple mothers where the titles were inherited through women, but that entitlement of having a vote in, the government just because, your now last name's Brown or whatever, I think that's pretty much being done away with. I don't think there's like a aristocratic, class in Britain anymore.
Okay, you're talking about in London or England
Yeah,
or
that's what I was.
the UK. Yeah.
Yeah, just because I'm the Duke of Funland, I get to collect rents from all you people and live on the high hog. You know what I mean?
Right.
That type. Right.
I mean, no, crazy lady, you make a good point. Yeah. I also want to ask you real quick, crazy lady, is Ross Ewing, is that from Dallas?
That's my husband's name.
Okay, no, because I'm looking at this name and I'm like, is she doing that from Dallas? All right. So, does anyone else want to make a point? Feisty one, you just joined. Do you want to say anything about entitlement or entitlement versus a right? Do you want to say anything before we wrap it up?
I don't know what's been said so far, so I'm just gonna listen. I was a bit.
You were a bit late. Duh.
Oh
All right. Okay, guys. So this was another interesting show. At least it was an interesting show for me. And I know that some of the topics that I put out there, that they are subjective, and it could be taken this way or could be taken that way. That's why we have a conversation. That's why we have a discussion. That's why people are able to have their own opinions. So, and I like to know what people think. So, but again, thank you. I appreciate everybody coming on. So before we wrap it up, does anybody have anything else they want to say before I play the goodbye music? Does anyone else have anything they want to say?
I do actually. Thank you, because you make me think. Because always your discussions, make me think about several different things, like seriously, think about. That's why sometimes it takes me a minute to answer, because it's like, I want to give you like my honest opinion, like how I truly feel about it, and some of it, like you said, it's complicated.
It is. I mean, some of the topics that I'm going to have next week, some of them may be they're going to be touchy. Some people may not like them. Some people may. But again, I like to talk about things that kind of push the envelope, and things that people don't want to talk about. And I invite you guys, if you guys, one thing I wish Podbean had is I wish we can have like mailboxes or something, because when people you can go to Solid Blue Sister at outlook.com. If you guys want to email me any topics that you all want to talk about, I am more than willing to. I'm open to anything. I'll talk about anything: sex, religion, rock and roll. I have no problem with it. We're all adults. I'm sure that we can handle the conversation, without getting bent out of shape or whatever. But yeah. So tomorrow we are going to be, if you were allowed one do-over in life, what would it be? So again, thank you everyone for joining me today. And Feisty one, you're going to have to get a clock with an alarm. And on that note, everyone speak your truth. I'm Solid Blue Sister. This is my turn to talk, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Bahram, thank you so much. Feisty one, Revolutionary Bro, Chemist, Frankie, Crucible Man, Shy Lady, and my friend Juju, who is at the pool. Welcome and thank you so much. And Nana done, y'all. We are done today, so you'll have to catch me tomorrow. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for liking the show. And Crazy says she's got chores to do. Frankie, again, thank you for your pod beans, girl. Thank you so much. Kivis, I miss you talking today, but thank you for joining, listening, and chatting. And I hope you are helping your daughter constructively with her homework. But as always, my friend, thank you for joining in. And Shy Lady, I know it's a drag sitting at the car dealership. But thank you, everyone. But I mean it, if you guys have any particular shows, whatever, email me, solidbluesister@outlook.com. Juju, do you have the whole pool to yourself today? Okay. Let's see. Did I miss any comments? Oh no, come back. I don't know what Feisty One meant about that one. Oh, I think she was referring to you, Juju, when Feisty One says, oh no, come back. You said bye. Last 20 minutes. Well, 20 minutes is better than 5, so. And Frankie, thank you for sticking around, you and Juju both. But if you guys want to go, you can. Frankie, I'm looking at the amount of likes you have given me. 4,843. Girl, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, y'all. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.